Imagine you're descending through solid white clouds over the North Sea at 500 feet a minute, flying to the runway ahead, and your navigation needle starts drifting to the left. You turn left to correct exactly what you were taught, but instead of fixing your path, the needle swings even further away. You have just entered the deadliest trap in instrument flying: reverse sensing. Flying this doesn't take a degree in mental arithmetic, it comes down to one brilliant instrument that literally redraws your airplane from above. Today we're demystifying the horizontal situation indicator, or HSI. Let's take the default Cessna 172 with the G1000 navigation system into the clouds around Rotterdam and make sure you never get disorientated again. Welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator A to Z. To understand why the HSI is so legendary, imagine flying IFR as trying to stay centered on an invisible highway floating in the sky. In a traditional 6-pack cockpit, your tools are completely split up, creating a fragmented cognitive scan. Your steering wheel, your heading, is down on a directional gyro, but the sign telling you where the road is sits way over on a separate CDI gauge. You're constantly glancing back and forth. My heading is 060, but the needle says I'm off. So what heading intercepts the road? You are building a 3D puzzle in your mind while hand flying through the turbulence. The HSI solves this by taking the separate deviation needle and dropping it directly on top of the motorized rotating compass card, integrating the entire picture into a top-down bird's eye view. Look at what's in front of you. The lower line at 12 o'clock marks your heading right now. The compass card underneath spins automatically as your Cessna turns. The symbolic aircraft in the center, that's you. The course pointer is the direction of what invisible highway you dialed in. And the course deviation bar in the middle is the highway lane itself. Here's why this is pure genius. You never have to calculate intercept angles again. So let's see this in action over Rotterdam. We're flying at level roughly 2000 feet, a little bit less, 1700 as you can see. And we tuned into 110.40, which is Rotterdam VOR. And HC now has instructed us to fly inbound on 060, which is the course of the station. Now over here you will see the HSI map, and you can configure the HSI map by using this button. You can, for example, add additional things like traffic, topo, relative terrain. Layout can also be changed. You can switch it off, you can set the inset map, or you can switch it to the HSI map. Before we can use this instrument correctly, we need to change the CDI source. So we're going to press on CDI and there it shows VOR 1. However, with a course of 360. In this case, what you will see is that the beacon is right to us, right? So we need to turn right if we want to intercept it. But since we've been instructed to fly an inbound course of 060, we need to first adjust the course. And we're going to do that by using this button. You will see that the number will change over here. So we're going to change it to 060. Here we go. And in this case it will tell us, hey, you need to fly a little bit more to the left, because according to this the highway is to the left. So what you need to do in that case is we need to change the heading, because we need to correct it. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to point it to roughly 330 and then wait. And then let's see what happens. Because what you will see, and you already see it happening, is that this green dot, it starts moving more to the center, which is good. Because as soon as it is in the center, we can change the direction to go to the inbound course of 060. Because if we would continue flying in this direction, then we of course would never arrive at that specific beacon. So we're gonna wait. And the heading buttons, by the way, also over here in Cessna 172 with a G1000. You can see it's almost there. And now we're gonna turn it to 060. Normally you would do this a little bit earlier, right? Because the autopilot will need some time to correct it. If you do fly manually, you can of course also do it manually, but I'm doing it using the autopilot for easiness. In this case, you see that we overshoot it a bit. So we're now, I would say, a little bit to the right side of the, I would say, inbound course. So we would need to make a small correction. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna adjust it. We're gonna fly a little bit further to the right. Until we're centered, which goes really fast, by the way, as you can see. And you need to make small corrections, because if you're making too large corrections, you will overshoot it, and then you need to make another correction. And that's of course what you want to prevent. So in this case, I'm gonna say center it, because it will take some time. And then eventually we should arrive at that beacon RTM with the inbound course 060 as instructed by ATC. This requires practicing. Believe me, I also will say initially thought, okay, hey, how am I gonna do this? How I'm gonna, let's say, try it out, and how I'm gonna use it in practice, because nowadays mostly GPS is used, which is much easier than this system. But still, this system allows you to navigate using nice beacons and nice systems in Flight Simulator 2024, but also in 2020 using the Garmin G1000 navigation system. Now let's tackle the single biggest headache for simmers: flying a localizer back. Here at Rotterdam, Runway 24 has a localizer antenna broadcasting two fixed radio lobes, 90 Hz on the left and 150 Hz on the right. When you fly straight into Runway 24 on a normal front course, standard gauges work smoothly. But if you fly inbound to Runway 06 from the opposite direction, using the same frequency, you are flying against the antenna's fixed layout. On an old school standalone CDI, the needle only knows roll signal strength. When your Cessna drifts left into the 90 Hz beam, the needle swings left. If you instinctively turn toward it, you bank harder left, diverging farther into danger. That's reverse sensing. Left means right, right means left, and your brain is melding on short final. Here is how the HSI completely cures this fault, completely cures this through the universal front course rule. Whenever you fly a localizer, front course, outbound or back course, always set the published inbound front course into your HSI. For Rotterdam Runway 24, that front course is 240 degrees. Because your Cessna is flying inbound on heading 060, the 240 front course arrow naturally rotates all the way to the bottom of the gauge at 6 o'clock. Because the needle mechanism is physically upside down on the dial, drifting left into the 90 Hz beam pushes the deviation bar to the physical right side of the glass. Left is always left and right is always right. On an HSI, you always turn toward the needle. So what happens when you step out the classic 172 and jump into the modern glass cockpit Cessna 172 G1000 NXi? The exact same geometry applies, but digital AHRS and GPS turn the HSI into an active tactical flight display. First tap the MSI HSI and activate the HSI map overlay. As you can currently see, I already did that. And the G1000 projects your actual move terrain, runway lines and navigation fixes directly straight into your HSI compass, giving you full tactical awareness without pulling your eyes away from your primary instruments. Second, and this is the ultimate crosswind hack, look at this small cyan diamond riding along the compass ring, the ground track vector. In heavy Dutch crosswinds, your Cessna has to point slightly sideways to keep flying straight down to the runway center line. Normally you have to guess your grab angle. On the glass CSI you simply bank the aircraft until the cyan diamond sits directly over your course pointer. The system continuously crunches the wind factor and your actual ground track, keeping you glued to the center line without a single calculation. Whether you're flying round dials or managing a modern glass flight deck, the horizontal situation indicator turns blind mental gymnastics into effortless visual flying. Dial the front course, steer toward the bar and let the instrument do the work. Here ends this video. I hope you liked it. It is a difficult subject, so hope I explained it clear enough for you. If you got any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment box below. Here ends this episode of Master of Flight Simulator A to Z. Thanks for watching, and until next time.